Start it now. Yo, we're already hung over about the holidays, and we haven't even gotten to Christmas yet, and we're sick of that shit already. So we're over the holidays already. This is the Pot Smoking Mamas podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. A happy holidays to you. I am Sunny D, along with my homegirl, Captain J.
Hello.
Hey, if you enjoy our podcast, give us a little Christmas gift and rate our show, review it, subscribe on all the platforms. And hey, be friends with us on our socials. PotsmokingMoms.com. You can find everything and anything there. So upcoming events there. You know, some discount codes for some cool... I don't know. We got a discount code for weed. I never thought I'd say that. PSM 20.
It's exciting.
For 20% off at the Flowery. They get free.
Support
get free
a little mom and pop's dispensary here in Florida. If you're in Florida, check them out.
Yeah, they're a mom and pop dispensary. We were just checking the totals for what was sold this week in different dispensaries. Listen, the Flowery, you get 20% off. And listen, lately, everything they have is 5 year. That's what I have planning. That's what I'm planning on smoking today. I got some of that Jet Fuel OG from the Flowery.
Straight gas, as they say.
Straight gas. I mixed it up with some peanut butter souffle because I got the littles, the juniors. It's like the little buds. So I mixed up. It's a little salad of both of those.
Nice salad.
What do you got?
I have Mac 1 from One Plant.
Oh, nice. Did you get a recent delivery from them?
No, I got it last week. That's the very last of my Mac 1.
Nice. Well, cheers to the last of the Mac 1. If you got it at home, go ahead and blaze up.
Cheers.
Very nice. A little bit later on in the show, we have an interview with our favorite weed scientists, Dr. Riley and Dr. Miyabi. We always have fun with them.
You can say Dr. Riley now. Last time we had them on the show, she wasn't officially a doctor yet. She was finishing up her doctorate.
She was a doctor in my mind, always.
She was. Definitely.
But stay tuned for that. That's going to be really nice. We always have fun with them. And if you're a patron, you get the whole uncut interview. It's actually the video interview we had with them
of the Zoom.
It's all up. It's already up on the patron page, on the Patreon page. Patrons have access to it already. Please go to our Patreon page and sign up for the extras. We're working on a surprise for our patrons. We wanted it to be ready for Christmas. I don't think it's gonna be. Christmas is like now. It's today.
It'll be like a New Year's gift. Yeah. New Year.
But we're working on something special for the patrons. Get over there and become one. We also still have the link to the Last Prisoner Project fundraiser on our Instagram page. We got a couple of hits on that recently. I was really happy about it. We have some people who already donated. Some of our patrons who are just always on top of stuff. Thanks, Denise.
Thank you.
But if you haven't donated, like any little bit helps. This is definitely something to help those who have been locked up due to minor cannabis
for weed, bro.
Violations.
For weed.
Yeah, and we just want to give back to the community already. Like we want to make it so that we get all those people out of there, but it's gonna take some money. So go over there and fund and drop some bills. Especially if you're it's for the cause. We have a giveaway that we've been running this past week. We will be announcing that winner as well. Stay tuned for that. And we have a little vacay coming up.
Yeah, we need to finalize some details on that. And Riley and Miyabi said they're interested.
So I know. It would be so cool if they meet us out there. How much fucking fun would that be?
That would be awesome. That'd be awesome. And we're for sure going to do dinner Friday night, February 11th, somewhere out there in Orlando. We've been talking about medieval times as a possibility.
Yeah, I love medieval times. That'd be fucking cool.
Yeah, I want to experience that. I've never been, so that would be fun.
So if you guys are in Orlando or in the area, February 11th through the 13th, please hit us up. Let us know. Raise your hand. We want to see you. We want to hang out with you.
Slide into our DMs.
Slide over into our DMs. So Christmas is happening. Are you ready?
Are you ready?
Did you finally get a Christmas tree?
Yeah, we put oh my God. I don't know if I want to talk about this.
Why? Go for it.
I feel so bad about it. So we went to Lowe's to get a Christmas tree, right? And we're walking through, you know how the Christmas tree people have to help you. They have to cut open the tree so you can see if it's a good tree or not, right? They have to cut the rope off of it, help shake it out. You know, there was no one there to help. And we didn't have anything to cut the ropes with. And we were trying to unravel. It was just like a mess.
Chaos.
And there was no one there.
I feel like it's always chaos in those tents. And I'm just like, oh my God, and I feel so bad asking for help. Even just alluding to the fact that I need help sometimes is so hard for me that just makes it so, I get so much anxiety. So what happens?
So we're there and we're just tired of trying to get trees open so we could pick one out. And there was this cute little tiny tree that was already opened up, and it was small though. But it was nice and full. It was perfectly formed and everything. And my son's like, I want that tree. And I'm like, okay, fine, we'll get this tree. So then we put it to the side and we're sitting there waiting for the guy to come back. Because there was a guy, but he disappeared. So we're sitting there waiting for the guy to come back, and for them to like put it on our car and all that. And my husband just got annoyed because we were waiting a long time. And he's just like, guess they don't want our money. Yeah. And he freaking like, let's go. He put the tree in his trunk, and I was like, well, let me go pay for it inside. It has the ticket.
What? Fuck no. Please tell me you did not pay for the tree. So
I take the ticket and I start walking to go inside. He already put everything in the car, and he looks over at me. He sees me walking inside, and he signals me. He's like, let's go.
Hell yeah. I'm sorry. I'm on your husband's side. Okay. Tell me you jumped in and you got a free tree.
It's not a good lesson to teach to our son to steal. You know what I mean?
You know what? I know, but also like there was nobody there. I would have behaved the same way he did. I would have been like, especially if after I went through the trouble, he went through the trouble of like popping it onto the top of the car.
No, he put it in the trunk because it was so little. He just stuck it in the trunk.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a cute little tree.
Did you have a talk with the kid afterwards? Did you give him a talk?
Yeah, I was like, babe, you could have at least let me pretend to pay for it, you know?
Hey, man, you know what, though? Like, the system fucks you so much that it's like, fuck that shit, man. Sometimes
they're a big company. It was a $45 tiny Christmas tree.
Hey, you do not need to fucking excuse yourself, okay? Because justified, all right? Justified. As a matter of fact, you won that day. Yay! I don't know, man.
Yeah, so we did get a Christmas tree. It's there.
Nice. I mean, that's great, though. At least you got the Christmas tree. You feeling it? We actually decorated the outside since we had just gotten our fence painted. All of our front, the whole house is painted now, finally. We put lights up and we put like little candy canes out front. We're pretty proud of our little... Festive. I know. We're proud of our little house.
And this is like the second year we're not doing a friend gift exchange or anything, you know, so I don't know. I feel like because of the pandemic, the holidays have all just felt off kilter because it hasn't been the same. Like I haven't been able to do the same things I normally get to do with my friends, my chosen family. I've only seen my family.
Right.
I miss our people.
I know.
I miss our friends. I'm looking forward to this weekend to actually seeing some friends.
Yeah, I actually
in real life.
It's so funny. I had an opportunity. Me and my husband had an opportunity to have a date night, family. You know, took the girls, and we went to a comedy club. Let me tell you something. Everybody thinks the pandemic's over. Like,
no, yeah,
we went to restaurants. Nobody was wearing masks. Not even the people working there. The improv was pretty fucking packed. Like, we were at the very back. Luckily, we kind of know how it works. And we were chilling, drinking, and eating out at this place. And we saw a line around the show, the theater. And we were like, well, there's people waiting to get in. Like, fuck that. We waited till the very end. We were the last fuckers to go in. I even sparked it up right outside the fucking club. And
nice.
I felt, you know what? I kind of
like
felt
a flower, like a J.
Yeah, I had a chillum, a pre-packed chillum from Sotera.
Oh.
One of those little glass, one hitter type things.
Yeah.
And everybody was going into the club, so there was not that many people outside. And me and my husband were off to the side, and we're like, "Oh yeah, let's just like spark it up really quick over here." We had a couple drinks, so we had a couple drinks, so he was also confident. He was like, "Yeah, spark it up." I was like,
"Yeah."
I was like, I don't need any more. I don't even need that much.
I don't need any more encouragement. Right. I was going to do it whether he says so or not.
Exactly. Him saying like, let's do it just makes me feel like even better about it.
I married the right one.
Right.
I chose the right one.
Yeah. So we, I think the opener was actually watching us. Like he was outside. I don't know. He was outside hanging out. And I think he was looking over at us. Cause like, obviously we're just like smoking weed out there. It was so funny. I caught him looking at us, and I was, because you know you're paranoid a little bit, so you're like, oh, I hope nobody like makes a big deal out of it either.
Be a narc.
But I felt like good. Like I don't know. I felt like it's the improv, empowered. Bro. Whatever. Yeah, I've been here.
It's a comedy club.
Yeah, I'm like I've smoked weed here before. It's like I'm back here. So then.
It's gonna make your audience more susceptible to laughing to your shit if they're high.
I mean, you know, and you drink while you're in there too. But luckily, we got all the way in the back, which was perfect. It was like, oh, thank God, because I don't like the seating when they make you sit next to other people. So, but every bit was packed. There was a lot of people at that show. I was kind of like, damn, there's a ton of people here. And then I would see the bartenders making our drinks and the people behind the bar, and I was just sitting there going, all of their germs are my germs now. Like
that's how I felt in my company.
You overanalyze it, right? You kind of overanalyze that shit. You really, really do.
I was overanalyzing too. It was the first time I had been to something like that, other than when we went to Dab Day.
Even that day was outside
on a little cruise, like a little yacht cruise that went through the Fort Lauderdale little
intercoastal
the little canals they have between all the rich houses. And so there was like 150 people maybe on that boat. And
any of our friends go?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Jose and Nati were there, and that's it. Those are the only two of our friends that were there, which was nice. But, you know, I got in my head a little bit because it was the first time I was around so many people.
Yeah.
And speaking of smoking in public, I also, for the first time, went and got my nails done in over 2 years because of preparing for the party. It's literally been 2 years since I've gotten my nails done because it was the last holiday party that we had probably when I did it. And the manager of the nail salon was complaining about some guys in the back behind her salon smoking weed. And she's like, I'm not a narc, but I've asked them several times not to smoke weed by, you know, I guess they smoke right by their door. That's the exit to the alley in the back. And she says it's the chefs from Dr. Limon, because I went to the Miami Lakes nail salon there. And then Dr. Limon is like right next door, and they don't want to smoke behind their job. So they like move over down there and they smoke behind hers. And she was like, I'm going to call, you know, she was just going off. She's like, I don't discriminate. I have no problem if you want to smoke. Just, don't do it there,
Yeah.
And I overheard, and I kind of I was like, she's like, she admitted to being a cannabis user, but she said that she was going to call the cops, and I was like, oh, it's kind of not cool,
Did you say that to her?
I was like, I understood where she was coming from, but I didn't think that calling the cops was the right thing. And so I kind of defended them. I was like, I use cannabis, I spoke up, said something. That's when she admitted she smokes too. And she said first she's going to tell their manager. And if that doesn't stop them, she's going to call the cops.
Has she talked to them? She said she talked to them before?
She says she's asked them several times not to smoke back there. I'm like, dude, why don't they just go smoke in their car? That's what I would do.
Why don't she just stick her head out there and be like, I told you to stop smoking weed, and just make it be loud and yell at them. I would yell at them. And then that way, that I only need to yell at them once for them to be like, yeah, I don't want that crazy bitch to come out here and yell at me. But calling the cops, you're right. I wouldn't. That's kind of
calling the cops is too much. Just don't get the cops involved,
because they're gonna just do the same thing that you're doing anyway too. They're gonna be like, hey, can you guys stop, not do that? What are the cops gonna make a big deal out of it, you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends on who the people are.
Yeah, I guess.
It's still illegal to do that in public,
Yeah, you're right. But
either they give them a warning. I think it also depends if they even catch them with it on them,
Right.
Because they could smoke it, but by the time they get there, there's nothing there. There's nothing to see. But she says they straight up have bongs out there. I was like, they could be a little more discreet. I was like, see, look, that's just irresponsible cannabis consumption.
Get a fucking
they gotta be cool about it.
I would be like, I would get a vape, and I'll be like, hey, look here, just give them this vape and be like, hey, this yes, and then go to the other thing, that blunt or whatever, no, the bong, no, here, vape. Do that. That's discreet for now. Or what?
Or if you must fire up some flower, just go do it in your car. Maybe they don't have a car. I don't know. But
or what about we tell her to get the little personal air filters, little sploofy, the little bamboo one now, the Ayurlumi with the lavender.
Honestly, I wonder why does it even bother her so much? I mean, it's not like her customers are coming in through there
and complaining. Are her customers complaining about it?
I didn't notice until I heard her talking about it.
Yeah, you never know what the deeper intentions are. She might have other intentions.
I was like, bro, don't be calling the cops, bro. That's not cool.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
How can you be a cannabis user and be like, I'm going to call the cops and somebody else for doing it?
But you know what? Let me tell you something. A lot of people love to throw rocks in glass houses. Okay? And it's fucking ridiculous. Because a lot of times, whenever we have a video, back in the day when a video would go kind of viral and a lot of fuckers would be commenting on that shit, a lot of haters would be coming from inside the house. A lot of people who would give me shit, it was so crazy to me. People would be like, oh yeah, tell me she's not an addict. And then we would get into a conversation and that person would later reveal, oh, I smoke a little bit myself. And it's like, what the fuck then? Then why are you judging? Why? It's just it's beyond me, but it's so funny. Or the haters that you look and they're following you and you're just like, really, bro?
Maybe she was just making a show, she was pissed at the moment because she caught them again. Maybe she won't actually call the cops. But
yeah.
Don't call cops, bro. Just tell them to go do it somewhere else again. Warn them at least. Say, hey, I'm going to call the cops if you keep doing this. And then maybe they'll stop.
I'm telling you, just yell at them. Take their weed and smoke it. And just yell at them.
Get a chancla. Get your chanclas out.
Yeah, get your escoba out. Go throw a broom at them. Tell them, just yell. Publicly yell about it. Anywho, we got one of your favorite segments right here for ya. The nuggiest of all the newses.
Oh my God, that's so funny. That's exactly what I had in my head when you said it.
The nuggiest of all the newses?
Yes.
Nice.
So Malta set to become first country in Europe to legalize marijuana this week.
Oh, hold on. Yeah, let's do it. Yay. They're so tiny, too. They're like a little island in the middle of, right under Italy.
It's just crazy to me that technically they would be the first when I've been to cannabis coffee shops in Netherlands and technically it's not legal. I just don't understand. But Malta is set to become the first country in Europe to legalize marijuana, with lawmakers expected to pass a reform bill on Tuesday that the president has pledged to sign into law. The legislation would allow adults 18 and older to possess up to 7 grams of cannabis and cultivate up to 4 plants for personal use. Again, limits. See, everybody limits. Is there anywhere where it's completely freaking 100% free? That's a good question. Up to 50 grams of what?
Because I'm free to grow what I want. Any old time. I don't know. Maybe not.
I almost used that song instead of I Want to Break Free when I was sharing the Last Prisoner Project thing in our stories.
Oh.
Free Fallen. Okay, so also up to 50 grams of homegrown marijuana should be stored at home. While there wouldn't be a commercial market per se, nonprofit cooperatives would be able to cultivate marijuana and distribute it to members. Possession of more than 7 grams but less than 28 grams by an adult would be punishable by a €50 to €100 fine without the threat of jail time or criminal record. Minors who are found in possession of cannabis would be referred to a commission for justice for a care plan rather than face arrest. MP Owen Bonici, sponsor of the legislation, told The Guardian that there's a wave of understanding now that the hard fist approach against cannabis users was disproportionate, unjust, and it was rendering a lot of suffering to people who are leading exemplary lives.
I'm very glad that Malta will be the first country in Europe which will put words in statute in a comprehensive manner with a regulatory authority, Bonici, who serves as government's Minister for Equality, Research and Innovation, said. President George Vella is expected to sign the legislation into law by the weekend, Bonici told The Guardian. Cannabis clubs that would be authorized under the bill could have as many as 500 members and would be limited to distributing 7 grams per day to each member, with a maximum of 50 grams per month. They could also distribute up to 20 cannabis seeds per member each month. The legislation itself says its purpose is aimed at allowing for a balance between individual freedom and the limited and responsible personal use of cannabis and other social requirements. While there was debate among lawmakers about whether to set a THC limit on marijuana products, they ultimately decided against the notion because you will be creating a new market for the black market, Bonici said. What we need to do is educate people and inform them day after day.
Malta's opposition, National Party, attempted to get Parliament's Petition Committee to hold a hearing after submitting a series of complaints about the legalization proposal, but the panel's chairman rejected that request last week. The opposition party's leader has argued that the Labour Party's government's bill is an attempt to shore up votes by advancing the popular policy. Malta, the smallest member nation in the European Union, stands to beat out several other countries in the region where legalization could soon be enacted. The leaders of Germany's new coalition, we've reported on this before, Germany. The leaders of Germany's new coalition government parties announced last month that they have a formal agreement to legalize cannabis and promote broader drug policy, harm reduction measures when they take power. In neighboring Luxembourg, the Ministries of Justice and Homeland Security unveiled a legalization proposal in October. It will still require a vote in the parliament, but is expected to pass. For now, the country is focusing on legalization within a home setting. Parliament is expected to vote on the proposal in early 2022, and the ruling parties are friendly to the reform.
Meanwhile, Italian voters may get a chance this spring to vote on a referendum to legalize personal possession and home cultivation of cannabis, as well as psilocybin mushrooms.
Yeah.
Yeah. Over in the U.S., I'm gonna have to take a trip over to Italy pretty soon.
I'm saying, like, if all these countries get on board, we're ready to go on a European tour.
Oh, what? For real? Hey, man, I was looking at our stats today. Denmark listens to us, and who else? Oh my gosh, Ireland. I was like, really, all of these people?
Germany too.
Yeah, like, what's up, guys? We're coming to a country near you. Over in the U.S., there are several competing legalization bills moving through Congress. A reform bill cleared the House Judiciary Committee in September. Another is being finalized by Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and colleagues. We've talked about all of those. And Republican lawmakers also introduced a legalization bill last month. Talked about that one as well. A draft bill to legalize and regulate marijuana sales in Mexico is also being circulated among senators, with top lawmakers saying the intent is to vote soon. Canada and Uruguay have already legalized recreational cannabis. So stay tuned. But, like, it's interesting to see everybody doing stuff and just kind of, like, paying attention to what kind of limits and what kind of laws they're setting, you know?
Yeah, but I'm wondering, that's just like a really good question. Is there anywhere on this planet where it's completely 100% no limits? Like, it's just, they don't give a fuck. It's a plant that, I don't think so. I think everywhere has some kind of limits.
I mean, I'm sure
That's
there's
crazy.
like indigenous areas.
Oh, well, come on, that doesn't count. Like tribes that have barely been touched by civilization. Okay, that's.
I mean, but they're people too. Like, you know.
But yeah, obviously
probably grow some
too,
good
but
shit.
They're not like big government. You know, they don't have big government ruling a bunch of people.
Yeah.
If it's a remote tribe out in the middle of the Amazon or wherever, you know, I'm sure that they do lots of things that are not legal everywhere else.
All bets are off. I don't know.
Well, I thought it, like, remember how you were saying if only we had a board that showed all the states that they light up every time they're legal?
Yeah,
we need it for the world, so every little country starts. Boop, boop, boop,
yeah, that had been the tiniest little light for Malta, but it will be shining so bright,
so bright,
so bright,
and all of a sudden it's going to start leaking out into other countries. They're going to see lights coming up all over Europe.
Malta.
So St. Louis mayor. Now we're coming back here stateside, signs bill to decriminalize marijuana possession and cultivation. So the mayor of St. Louis on Monday signed a bill to decriminalize marijuana possession and cultivation for adults, a local reform that comes as efforts to legalize cannabis statewide in Missouri are also gaining momentum. The St. Louis ordinance signing comes weeks after the Board of Aldermen unanimously approved the legislation, which makes it so adults 21 and older can possess up to 2 ounces of cannabis without facing the civil penalty that's currently in place. It would also make it so that no resources could be spent to punish adults for cultivating up to 6 flowering plants. Importantly, the measure only affects local policy and does not change Missouri state laws that continue to criminalize marijuana for non-medical use. We are seeing a major shift in the way our country sees not just marijuana, but how it connects to public safety, incarceration, and economic opportunity in our communities, Mayor Tashara Jones said at a signing ceremony. This law will help reduce racial disparities in policing, make our city safer, and make St. Louis more competitive in hiring for city positions.
The newly enacted policy will further permit city employees who are medical cannabis patients to present their state-issued ID cards to avoid adverse employer actions based on a positive drug test for marijuana. Police will also be prevented from using the smell or visual presence of marijuana smoke as a basis to conduct a search or arrest someone. Alderman Brett Narayan, sponsor of the legislation, said that it's rare that we see so many people from so many different backgrounds unite around a single cause, which is exactly what we have done here. This law represents the clear will of the people of St. Louis, he said. It will allow for our law enforcement officials to use their resources on the most pressing issues in our region, help with labor shortages in our city departments, and will also help prevent our injured first responders from falling into the pitfalls of opiate addiction. And nice that he's addressing that, yeah.
Yeah. And they're saying, like, there's so many weed smokers, like, our talent pool's small.
Yeah, for real.
Supporters say the legislation is meant to build upon the city's earlier 2018 reform move, when lawmakers made it so the penalty for possession would be a $25 fine. The new law repeals local statute allowing for a penalty altogether. Activities that will remain criminalized include providing marijuana to underage people, possessing excess cannabis, and selling marijuana at a property that prohibits it. Missouri voters approved a medical cannabis ballot measure in 2018. The bill signing in St. Louis comes 1 year after the Kansas City, Missouri City Council voted to approve an ordinance ending all penalties for marijuana possession under the municipality's local laws.
In that city,
making moves.
In that city, Mayor Quentin Lucas and 4 local lawmakers filed the cannabis measure, which similarly repeals the provision of the Code of Ordinances stipulating that possession of 35 grams or less of marijuana carries a $25 fine, and more than 35 grams is punishable by a $500 fine.
They still want to make money off of catching people with weed.
I know, it's so pointless. What is that going to teach them? Stupid.
And what happens is if you're somebody that doesn't have a lot of money, if you don't pay that, it probably then becomes like a criminal thing if you don't pay it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What the fuck? Just stop.
Yeah, just making more work for yourself for poguto for no reason. In September, oh my God, Mike. In September, the city council also approved the measure, making it so most government workers in Kansas City will no longer face pre-employment drug tests for cannabis because they're probably hurting really bad. There's like everybody in the world right now for work.
Yep.
Meanwhile, at least 2 activist groups in the state are aiming to place a question of adult use marijuana legalization before voters in 2022. One campaign officially launched Signature Gathering last week. Separately, Republican state lawmakers again making a push to place marijuana legalization on the ballot. Republican Representative Shamed Dogan? That's his fucking name?
Shamed Dogan.
You gotta get...
Shamed is an interesting
Bro, that
name.
sounds like a fake fucking name. That sounds like somebody in Taiwan was like, oh, I need to make up an like American name. That sounds like...
Shamed Dogan.
Yeah, that sounds like, you know, my daughter's at that age where she's giving the weirdest names, the most random names to her dolls. She's like, oh, this one's named Toyo. And that one's named Capario. And you're just like, where did you come up with these names? Shamed Dogan. That's his fucking name. It's a real name. Come on, bro. Shamed? Why would you want to name somebody that?
Why would somebody name their kid Shamed?
Why?
Were they shamed that they had a child? Like, I don't understand. Poor guy.
He's a black Republican too.
You looked him up?
Yeah, I looked him up. Of course. I want to see who's named Shamed Dogan, bro. Shamed Dogan.
What's up, Missouri? Let us know what you think of Shamed Dogan.
Shamed Dogan. I'm sorry. That just is such a insanely strange name to me. But anyways, we're going to go on for about 10 minutes about that name. Pre-filed his joint resolution last week to place a constitutional amendment on legalization on the 2022 ballot. He introduced a similar proposal last year, but it did not advance. Also last week... sorry. That's... I just got so much steam from Shamed.
Also last week, a Missouri lawmaker pre-filed a bill to make it so police could no longer use the odor of marijuana alone as justification to conduct searches of a person's home, vehicle, or other private property. They're one of their favorite reasons. They're taking that away everywhere. Good.
They're shamed dogging everybody out there.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Well, Missouri's making moves. Go Missouri.
I know. Yay. Hold on.
Well, St. Louis is like, we're just going to we're cool here. And now Missouri all together needs to get with it.
We'll give them a Nate
dog.
Dog.
Light up on the map.
We'll give them a Nate Dog. We'll skip the yay this time and just give them a Nate Dog.
Smoke weed every day.
I don't know why he repeats the end like 80 times. I'm gonna fix that, you guys. One day. I'll fix it.
Okay, so our next story is a Mythbuster story. Remember we were going to do Mythbusters as a segment, remember?
Yeah, we did it. It's called Spliff Busters.
Spliff Busters!
And you know what, too? I've looked it up on the internet. Other stoners have also used Spliff Busters.
Spliff Busters. See, we're not the only stoners that came up with that.
You know, to debunk myths. Something came up on our feed and actually came up in conversation.
Yeah. So, yeah, go for it. You're green.
So, yeah, I'm green.
Now you got me all confused.
So, white or gray? Does ash color determine quality cannabis? There's a debate across message boards and smoking circles regarding what the color of ash means about the quality of the bud. The argument suggests that if the bud has been properly flushed or cured, it should burn to a near white ash. Darker ash is said to be stained by chemicals or residue from excess nutrients, which indicate the bud is less pure and more harmful to smoke. Or at best, the bud is an inferior product that could have been better if the grower had done something different. Yeah, I heard it's like also pesticides. I had read it like pesticides or stuff like that. Here we examine the points of the debate, whether the debate itself may have originated, where it may have originated, and what ash color actually says about the caliber of cannabis. So right off the bat, before we get into this rest of this article, which by the way, you can find on our posts on Instagram, we make a post and we post all the articles that we talk about in case you're interested. But what do you,
pot guide.
When you heard about this or when you first briefly learned about this, what were your immediate thoughts, Jay?
I honestly didn't give it a lot of thought. I was like, okay, that's interesting.
You're like,
sure,
that's interesting. I'm moving along.
If it gets me high, I'm happy with it. I mean, I've never paid attention to the ash color before. And then I wasn't sure if they were just talking about ash color all the time in general or just when you're smoking a joint or a blunt. Like,
okay. Yeah, well, okay. So my brain did the thing where I was like, I kind of was like, okay. It did the thing where at first it kind of validated the argument and I was like, oh, well, I could see how like maybe pesticides and chemicals might like have something to do with like the final composition of what the bud is, blah, blah, blah. Okay, maybe. But then I smoke a lot of bowls and bongs and like that's the way I burn my weed. Sometimes, you know what I really love to do is when I have a nicely packed bowl, Jay, I don't know about you, but I like to lightly light the top of the bowl. Like I graze it with the lighter and then I like hit it and then I'll exhale and then I'll go back to it and it's already lit so it'll like light back up.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's interesting because you kind of see the, how can I say, like the journey of the fire through your bowl. I need to get all like, I'm philosophically stoner, but you know what I mean? Like, and then what I thought was like, yeah, I mean, it really depends too on how you're firing it up, like how it's lighting. If you're blazing it up with a fucking torch, like, yeah, you're gonna it's gonna be black ash because you're fucking demolishing that shit. So then that was a counter idea, right? I was like, okay, well, it might make sense kind of. But on the other hand, like, it really depends too. There's more factors that'll give it the color.
I feel like when it's darker, it's because you didn't like burn it all. That's it. Like there's still some left remaining that didn't get burnt all the way through. Kind of
No,
like when you have like still greens in there, but it's all charred and it's not going to taste the same. If you hit that shit, you're going to cough up a fucking lung, but you feel bad leaving it behind.
I know,
you
it's
that kind
the
of shit.
the brown crunchies.
Yeah. So like, I just feel like when it's dark, it's just because maybe you didn't really get to all of it. There's still some resin or whatever.
And then I thought white. I'm like, well, you have to fucking be burning
White
paper
ash.
for it to be white ash. When has there ever
That's
been
what I'm
fucking
thinking.
white
When I
ash?
say white ash, I never really get white ash out of my bowls. It's usually only when I'm smoking a joint or like a blunt. Is the ash going to be white?
Right. I don't know. That's another part of I was like, unless you're smoking a joint, that doesn't make sense. But anyways, we go on to talk about this.
Okay. So, does flushing affect ash color? Proponents of the white ash debate claim that clean white ash is the result of flushing the cannabis before it is harvested. Flushing is a practice at the end of the growing process when the plants are fed only clean water for the last week or two of their lives. In hydroponic systems, water is frequently infused with concentrated nutrient solutions or salts, which collect or crust around the root systems. And in soil, nutrients can remain in the soil, affecting pH. In both soil and hydroponic systems, excess collection of minerals can lead to nutrient lockout and nutrient burn. Symptoms for these conditions are obvious, resulting in curled or yellowing leaves, but nutrients and other chemicals can still collect in small amounts that don't become apparent until your first puff.
Buds that crackle when smoked may be indicative of excess nutrients built up in the plant matter or residual moisture from a subpar curing process. Cultivation expert George Cervantes has argued in the Cannabis about the importance of flushing, albeit for the sake of flavor. Cervantes says nothing about the color of ash. Conversely, Carey and Kurt Badischer, authors of Cannabis for Capitalists, penned an op-ed in the Cannabis Business Times arguing against the practice of flushing. A 5 to 10 day flushing represents as much as 12.5% of the plant's flower time. Plants do not add mass in the absence of nutrients, so the loss of yield at the height of the plant's ability to produce flower makes this flavor enhancement technique an expensive one. Deciding not to feed your plant for the last 2 weeks of its life will inevitably reduce your yield, but there's no evidence it affects ash color. What?
It just everybody's the ash color thing. I don't know.
Yeah. How did that even? Yeah, I can't wait to find out how people started making a big deal about it.
Who started this?
Yeah, because I feel like in the stoner community, a lot of these little kind of little
debates,
myths, they always kind of come up every now and again for certain things.
Yeah. Does curing affect ash color? Other adherents to the ash theory argue that the magic is in the curing. Curing, in simple terms, is the process by which food or plant matter is preserved or prepared for long-term storage. With food, this is traditionally done with salt or smoke to control moisture content. The same principle applies to cannabis. Harvested plants are hung or laid out to dry for 1 to 2 weeks, but once the majority of the moisture is gone, the buds are collected into a container, usually a jar for home growers, for as long as 6 weeks. During this curing process, the remaining moisture is locked in and the resulting gases are released at regular and frequent intervals. This is a patient process that allows bacteria to consume residual compounds which would otherwise harm the final flavor. The controlled buffet also consumes the starches and sugars that mold might establish it. Growers unanimously agree that curing is a critical step in cultivation and has a profound effect on flavor and smoothness, but there is no scientific consensus that it affects ash color.
All right. Well, that theory is also out the window. Okay, here we go. Where does ash color debate come from? Because why would we even start talking about this shit to begin with? The standard for fine ash and the monochromatic scale is held to probably crossed over from cigar culture. The Cigar Association of America has even addressed the matter on their own site, suggesting that the ash color is indicative of nutrient levels in the soil the tobacco was grown in. A lighter gray still being ideal. The alleged origin of this concept is that after the U.S. embargo against Cuba in 1962, counterfeit Cuban cigars began to appear in the market. The fake imports, so the story goes, could be distinguished by the darker ash. Tobacco grown in rich Cuban soil was expected to turn white. If this is true, then it may be an argument against flushing. If the nutrient-rich soil is responsible for the white ash of Cuban cigars, then flushing that soil would be detrimental to the tobacco.
Conclusion. Commercial cannabis cultivation is heavily regulated and closely monitored for purity and quality. While it's true that an organic home operation can produce better bud than the dispensary, the same way your garden tomatoes are probably fresher than Safeway's, the color of ash from store-bought weed is unlikely to tell you anything definitive about the quality of the cannabis. Ash color certainly won't tell you anything your senses of taste and smell don't already alert you to. Mm-hmm. Flour that has been poorly fed or improperly cured also tends to taste bitter or unripe, will be unpleasant to smoke. Good cannabis is just cannabis you enjoy. If the smoke is smooth and tastes good, then the color of the ash is irrelevant. Exactly. That's why I was like, I've never given it much thought.
Yeah.
And if the smoke is harsh and tastes awful, then ivory white ash won't impress anyone.
Yeah, that's true. You know what? I had bought something recently from a dispensary that stank so bad. I didn't like it. And my husband was kind of like, it's kind of stinky. Maybe it's like a skunk. Maybe it's like one of the skunky strains.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I don't want to smoke it. And he was like, oh, all right, I'll smoke it. And I haven't touched it. I smelled it and was like, I don't even want to deal with this ever.
No, thank you.
Yeah, I was like, oh, this is like the weirdest smelling. It's so.
But he likes
stank.
it. Like, well, he'll smoke it.
He was like, whatever. He smoked it. I was like, is there anything? And he's like, no, it's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm like, okay. My nose was just like, no. Every time I went to open it, I was like, oh, maybe I should break some of these nugs. I would open it. I can't help it. Every time I open my jar, I stick my nose in it. Every time.
You have to.
Every fucking time, right? Like at least almost every time. I gotta say almost every time. But I would open that up, stick my nose in the jar, and go, no, absolutely not. I do not want to smoke this shit.
Your nose knows.
Your nose knows. Your nose definitely knows. What does ash color say about my weed? Probably nothing. Cannabis sold through dispensaries is subject to rigorous examination and regulatory standards. Doesn't mean like don't question it, but you know. These measurements are more reliable indicator of quality than ash color. Yeah. Yeah, you could probably look at it, open the nug up, stick your nose in it, inspect it for mold or I don't know, stuff like that. And that'll probably tell you something before you get to ash.
I wish we would have seen this before we had done our interview with Miami and Riley.
Yeah, this would have been a good question to ask. But I feel like, yeah.
We should write it down as a future question for them.
Well, yeah, we could discuss it once again.
Will flushing improve ash color? Probably not. There is no consistent or reliable evidence that suggests flushing cannabis plants before harvest will affect ash color.
Curing? Probably not. Also, though curing is a critical step to control the moisture content of your final product as well as preserving it against mold and decomposition over time.
What is the difference between curing and drying cannabis? Drying takes place immediately after harvest and eliminates most water content from the plant. Curing takes place after drying and consists of a more controlled release of the last amount of moisture.
See, that also has to be done correctly. That's why I'm like, bro, try to grow your own weed. I feel like that is like a whole undertaking. Where does the ash color debate come from? Gauging plant quality by ash color is more common among cigar smokers after the trade embargo against Cuba.
Why are they bringing that up again? They already talked about it.
I don't know. Just to kind of be like, hey, remember? Just look. We talked about this. Look. Just remember that it's Cuban cigars. Now
it all came from Cuba.
Yeah, it all happened because of Cuban cigars. So we didn't want to get the
started
fakes.
The debate. Have you ever smoked a blunt out of a Cuban cigar?
I don't know. I don't think so.
I mean, some people would probably say that's a waste of a Cuban cigar, but I've done it before and it's amazing.
Oh, nice. That's the only way I'd smoke a Cuban cigar is if we dump the guts and stick weed in it.
I don't like cigars either.
Yeah, I even fucking hate smelling cigars. This shit makes my stomach turn.
Yeah.
Yeah, dump the guts and fucking fill it up with weed.
It's really hard because it's just like a real tobacco leaf that you have to try to roll the blunt in.
Yeah, I'm not doing it. Here, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll roll the I Love You Miami no sounds. Yeah.
I love you, Miami!
This is just a little blip. Because we had a hard time when we talked about this last time.
Yeah, this is really interesting.
I got
that text message today and I literally laughed out loud.
I know. I could hear it.
I was like, really? I screenshot and sent that shit to you. So I got a text today from Truly that said, attention Florida patients. Due to the confusion caused by the recent changes to the registry regarding flower dispensations, the OMMU has rolled back the change. As a Florida patient, you may now return to purchasing flower as you had previously. We will keep you updated as to any additional information as it becomes available.
Hey, it's a good thing I never stopped buying flowers I had previously. Somebody had made the comment on our listen, I'm never gonna be like how can I put this? Everybody's always going to know what's up with me. If we don't understand that shit, we're going to be honest and we're going to be like, look, we're going to read it to you. We're going to try to dissect it. We're going to try to understand it. If at the end of the day we don't fucking get it, we don't fucking get it. We talked to a couple people and they were kind of like, they didn't really clarify much things for anybody either. And then it was funny because we got a comment on the post of like, oh, you should know because, what happens if you need to what? If I need to what? If I have to have more flour, if they tell me I can't have any more because I've got my limit or whatever the fuck the term, I don't even know. I don't even understand what the rule was. Nobody understands what
it just means like, okay, you get 2.5 ounces in the month, right? Let's say you got your balance. You go the first couple days of the month and you get a couple eighths. So they calculate, okay, your first couple eighths or whatever was purchased on this day. So you could buy that quantity again out of your next 2.5, exactly 35 days after that.
Oh, yeah. So they were telling you.
So it'll be little by little taking away from your balance. And you can only get that amount again exactly 35 days after that. So if you are somebody that buys all of it at once and you did it towards the end of your like 35 days and you needed to get again like in a couple weeks, you wouldn't be able to.
Even if you get little by little, that shit's whack because what if I want to get shit from 2 different dispensaries? You're going to tell me that I have to wait 35 days till I can go back and get some? That shit's whack as fuck.
It's stupid. Yeah, I know.
Super stupid. Like
they didn't even know how to properly explain it to people that they just gave up on it.
And the thing
they're just like, never mind, JK.
Yeah, so fucking dumb. Figure it out, you guys. And then it's so funny because we didn't get it. We were very honest about like not getting it. And it's so funny. A couple of you guys even messaged us the fact that these people were like sending out messages of like, never mind. And then I was like, kind of like, okay. I went straight through to the OMMU website. Because I was like, well, let me get it straight from the horse's mouth. Because I saw it from a couple people who posted it. Some of you guys reached out. We had a couple laughs about this bullshit. And then I went and I asked you. I was like, well, how did you get this information? You said True Leaf texted it to you. And and OMMU has not posted jack shit about it on their website.
They don't have it updated on their website. Yeah. It's still saying like it's going to be in effect.
It's still saying it's going to be in effect. And then it's like, oh, click here for remember they had an allowance calculator? I just think it's so funny. They had an allowance calculator. Click on the link. It's like 404, page not found. But they can't even fucking, they broke that link. But they can't fucking post a thing that says, hey, update.
An update.
We've postponed this.
Or at least take down the one that's there.
Right.
That's not happening anymore.
Exactly. Get it together. Get it together, guys.
Yeah, I don't know.
You could even put some stoners in charge and they will fucking get it together.
If there were stoners in charge, they would be putting dumb rules like that in place.
I mean, maybe they'll be a little easier to understand because we wouldn't spend so much time making it hard for people. Anyway.
It really was a dumb rule. So also, new dispensaries coming to a place near you in Florida. They announced in the weekly highlights that they've approved 4 more dispensaries, an alt med in Orange Park, a sanctuary in Fort Pierce, a Sunnyside in Pensacola, and a True Leaf in Okeechobee.
I think the True Leaf in Okeechobee already opened, right?
This says the highlights from the updates from December 6th to 10th.
All right. Well, congratulations, guys.
So it's only been 3 days since then.
But True Leaf. They're like, oh, we got approved. Open new location. Like, cut the ribbon ceremony.
Yeah, it feels like every week there's a new place opening.
Yeah.
See, look, they even posted about the OMMU thing on their Instagram.
Yep. True Leaf. Hey, you guys made it this far. We love you so much, and you're going to love this interview. We got a really, really awesome interview with Riley and Miyabi. There are weed doctors. I wish I could say there are in-house weed doctors. I don't know. We may have a segment coming soon. We collab. I hate that everybody calls everything that now. Collab. Collaboration. Like, fucking just say it.
Yeah.
We love our doctors. Smoke and Science podcast. They also have a new podcast too. So if you can't get enough,
which is really good,
super good. So is our interview. We didn't really have look. I'm gonna be real with you guys. We shot the shit mostly. We didn't.
Well, yeah, it was their second time on the show, so it was more like just catch up.
I know.
What do y'all been up to?
Right. We didn't really have an angle. Our angle was like, let's talk to the weed nerds. And
we just wanted an excuse to hang out and talk to them again.
Fellow weed nerds who are smarter than us. I love that. Because I can get stoned and just listen to them all day. So here we are. Hope you enjoy our interview with Dr. Riley and Miyabi.
Also, we went to MJ Biz, and it was fun. It was interesting. It was a lot of fun.
I saw that.
Oh, yeah. How was that?
It was honestly really intense. So I've never been to I've never really been to any type of con, to be honest. Like, I'm trying to think of if I've ever been to a convention that
never ever, not
like a
comic convention,
Comic-Con,
or anime
like
convention, or because I've been to a lot of those. My husband's a nerd, and we've gone to that, and they cosplay and all that, which is so much fun.
Yeah, it was basically kind of like that, but for weed.
For weed, yes. That sounds like my kind of con right there.
Yeah, no, it was actually really fun, but it was also just the industry is actually really huge and growing, and that part was cool to see, everything like that. But it was in Vegas, and it's just
yes.
a lot. I've only been to Vegas a few times when I was much younger. And I liked it though. It was fun. I think it was just I was a little saturated.
Yes, it's extremely overwhelming. Vegas is extremely overstimulating everything. All the sensories.
The other thing about con, if I went to a Comic-Con, I think it would be Okay. I don't want to say anything super negative because I'm trying not to be like have a negative attitude about it, but I the industry is like a mixed bag of people, right? Like in the cannabis industry, there's people who don't smoke weed and who are just in it for like money.
Yeah, that business.
And yeah, and then there's people who are and there's every range. There's people who don't smoke any weed and are just in it pure business, and there's like a lot of like, you know, that sort of vibe. And then there's all the way to the other end where there's like it's just like everywhere in between. I met a
like
lot
huge
of really,
advocates
really cool.
to just business people to just, you know,
Yeah, like
moms
what
that
kind
got
of
into it because their
what
kids
kind
needed
of-
it. Like there's all over the map.
what do they have though? Is like booths with people?
Yeah, so the booths are like mostly lights, grow, soil, and then like maybe like vape cart fillers, like packaging booths. Like there's a booth for like everything. Hey, Riley.
Hi.
Hey, Riley, what's up?
We're talking about MJ Biz and how saturating it was. Also Riley pulls out this just J that I didn't know had concentrate in it. one of the days, I was like, oh yeah, that sounds great. Like it'll help me like walk around and like be more social and socialize. And I was like, not more social.
Yeah. Easy to overdo it with those joints. Those are aggressive.
A little too
It
much
ended
THC.
Yeah, it ended up being a great time. But I remember meeting people being like, oh yeah, I'm definitely baked.
We also we don't usually use pens, but we both had pens in Vegas. And we were ripping on those like in the bathroom, like literally everywhere.
I've never used those pens because I understand why they're like advantageous, but I've just always really been about flower and like, so I was not used to that at all. Actually, like it's funny, I like almost went through that entire pen and then now I brought it home and like I'm not using it. I have like a little bit.
Yeah, I don't buy them because I love them too much.
And that's the
then
thing;
I
they're
just-
so convenient that you're just constantly like tapping on them.
You're in
all
Target,
the
you're in the
time.
grocery store, you're like
Have you guys gotten? Do you guys like vaping flower?
Like dry herb.
Yeah.
I have. I've done it in the past and like I know there's tons of people who really, really like it. I don't know. There's something about just like, I specifically like joints, which I know is like super wasteful. And today I got a bowl instead.
I had the packs too.
The pack
It was
sounds good.
It was okay. It got really hot in my hand. I don't know
Yeah.
why, just,
they all
got
tend to
old.
do that though.
Yeah, they are. I mean,
All the flower ones, they definitely do that.
They
Yeah.
kind of have to. It's
Yeah, I
it's
guess it makes
unfortunate.
sense.
Yeah.
But
I had a PAX too. I've had a Magic Flight. Have you? This is like a while ago, but have you seen those ones? It's like it's like a little tiny like wooden box, and you just stick the battery in the side.
huh.
And it's a really small, like tiny. I had one of those for years and years ago when I like was trying to conserve bud. Also, I don't love vaping, but I really, really like cooking with ABV.
Yes,
Like-
what's left over after the browned.
Really?
Flower.
Why? Can you tell me why?
MJ used to.
Yeah,
cook
I
with it all
know,
the
but
time.
it's. I mean, you get double use out of it to a certain extent. But why do you like cooking with it?
It's such a good high for me. Like it's a really, really good feeling. It's super body chill. Like
More like
With
CBN.
it?
yeah, I mean that's what I would definitely assume that there's more CBN, there's less THC, and also it's really easy since it's ABV. You just literally throw it in something when it's done. Like you make chili and then you just throw it in chili and mix it up, or you make like tacos or make anything and you just throw it in there and it doesn't taste bad. I mean, like I don't dislike the taste of it. Like I think it just tastes like oregano. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like an herb.
Edibles don't work for me, but every time MJ would make edibles, she uses that
Yeah.
the leftovers because she vapes flour, and everybody would always be like, "Oh, these edibles are great," you know, and everybody's like feeling it, and
Yeah.
I'm the only one not. But
So you can't feel them ever, even with the ABV. That's crazy.
yeah, I've never. I remember we were going to Orlando. We went to Harry Potter World, and her husband and my husband all ate brownies that she made. And when we got there, and they were like, "Woo, flying high," and I'm like, I need to smoke a bowl before we go in there or something because nothing
Smoke
is
a
happening
bowl.
to me.
Need
The
to chew
brownies
some-
tasted
eat
delicious.
some
They were
mushrooms.
yummy, but nothing's happening here.
That's funny.
I know you gotta eat some mushrooms. They last for longer. In
Yeah,
a,
eat
in
some.
a
I've done that too at
Universal
Universal too. The first time I went to Harry Potter World, I did it sober.
It was good.
I did it sober.
Worth
Then we
it?
went to the car and ate chocolate frogs because we literally made chocolate. We got a chocolate frog molding and we made it with shroom chocolates. And then we ate those chocolates and then we went back into the park and redid all of Harry Potter World again
fun.
on a whole
That
other.
is so cool.
That's
so
legit.
on theme.
I'd
with
be
Harry
so
Potter.
scared
This
to
is
ride
amazing.
those rides too, though.
It was amazing.
Oh
It was
my
so
god,
cool.
I can't imagine.
Oh man. Okay, that is on another level. Making chocolate frogs. I was just like, we didn't nerd out about this before, but I'm also a huge Harry Potter fan, and
know.
that is next level to put them in like a little mold and like, oh my gosh,
They were
I love
literally
it. Okay.
magic chocolate frogs.
All right,
Oh
we're
my
gonna have to
God.
come when we come to Florida. We'll have to. I mean, Orlando's not that close. Is it close to Miami? Is
It's
it a
4
drive?
hours.
Yeah.
It's 3.5 hours.
We're going in
Right.
February if you
We're-
guys want to join
Yeah,
us.
we're doing a Pot Smoky Moms trip. Moms
just
only,
moms
adults only,
only.
no kids. We're going to go to Disney.
for like a weekend.
Yeah.
I've never been to Disney as an adult. Like, I think it would be a whole different experience. It would be so fun.
And Disney's changed so much since, I'm sure,
Since
the
you-
last time you were there, if you weren't an adult.
Go to Epcot.
Yeah.
yeah,
I've never
Yeah.
been. I don't think I've ever been to Epcot.
There's
I've
been so
never-
many things that have opened there that it's definitely worth checking out. I do feel like they're pricing out middle class families though, because they're getting really, really expensive, but that's a whole
Dude,
other
I
conversation I could have like forever.
When I was little, because I'm from Southern California, we could go for like the whole year for under $100.
What?
Like it was crazy cheap because you were like it was like a local thing. You couldn't go every day. Like there were certain days that were like, I'm assuming they were the days that they
Oh,
weren't busy,
blackout
so they-
days and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
yeah. they have-
yeah, stuff like that. But
Love
no,
Disney.
that sounds awesome in February.
Yeah,
considering
the
it's
weather's
probably
gonna be
cold as
great.
Fuck.
Over there where you're at, now where it's going to be perfect.
It's going to be like
Disney
60
weather.
degrees here. Like it's going to be perfect walking around Disney weather.
I have a couple friends. I have a friend in out in Utah, and she's like, "Man, it's gonna be miserable cold over here." And I'm like, "Come on over to Florida,
Come to Disney with us.
yeah, take a break from the cold."
But the last time we had you guys on the show, a lot has changed since then. You guys have your podcast now. You work together now. Riley, you got your PhD.
I did.
So much
Yeah,
has
that's
happened in the
crazy.
time.
I forgot that was when we talked.
It was before,
my
right
gosh.
before.
That was
Wow.
pre Dr. Kirk.
Feels like a whole different life I'm living now.
Yeah.
Completely different.
How are you liking it? How are you liking working together and doing the podcast?
It's been, I think it's been amazing. I mean, I never pictured my life at how it is now back when I was in my PhD, like trying to complete it. But I think we have like the coolest job ever. We're able to talk to people about cannabis, about stuff we're extremely passionate about, and just trying to like tell everyone all the cool shit about cannabis and just how helpful it can be. We get to work together. We get to be on social media. I think it's awesome.
So when we did the last time that we talked with you guys, we were like solidifying the fact that we would work together. Kind of. I think that was,
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
if I'm remembering correctly, that was like what was going on. But we couldn't really say it out loud because it wasn't like, nothing was like tied in a bow with like the paperwork signed and everything. So that's kind of cool. Yeah, a lot. I mean, for me, like, even though we were actually just talking about how like social media can be really negative, or it can have some negative aspects to it, which we all know really well, but like meeting people through social media has been really, really eye-opening, and finding other people who are passionate about like destigmatizing cannabis and also just about being real humans, even though part of what we do on social media isn't all of us, like, right? Like you don't ever show like every side. There's always like, but you still are a real human behind the camera, like sharing your personal experience.
Right, like there's a different. I know there's some people who are like every personal detail of their life is on, and they're like a personality, right? Like they're this person. I could never be. I don't know. I could never be that person. Documenting absolutely everything. That's hard. I can't even
You have
document
to be
some
able to, like,
things.
Yeah, you got to be able to turn it off and like just kind of not connect with that side of the world for a little bit, live in the moment. I think it's so important, and we're kind of losing that aspect. People aren't able to disconnect anymore. And I think it's kind of problematic.
People can be like I think this within a lot of different communities, but the cannabis community, as it grows and grows and gets bigger and bigger, like I think people can be really divisive and like really, I think, critical of other people, especially like those of us that are putting content out there like into the universe. Like we are just humans with our opinions, like, and we're just, doing, I don't know, just trying to do things for free and for like building the community. And like,
I know it's a lot of free work as a creative person.
And you wish that people would, instead of saying things in a negative way, just pose it as a conversation that we can have. And then social media would be awesome. It would be incredibly educational, but it's often just so combative, and you don't even like want to answer the questions, and it causes a lot of drama. And if we just posed the questions differently and our comments differently, I think it would be a much more positive space.
I know, it's so mixed. And then the competition between creators, because jealousy makes people do crazy things. It's insane.
It's just such a wide range because you have these amazing followers and people and relationships you make, and you get like all this great interaction, but it comes with so much on the other end as well, negativity and jealousy and just trolls, and it's difficult.
The cannabis community is kind of like very sensitive in the sense that like, right, we do something that although we're trying to destigmatize, it's still, under the radar. Like it's still like people are still, social media platforms are still stifling content, and, and to a certain extent I understand, because there is some content that is like, if it's distasteful and it's a little bit, but
it's definitely still stigmatized big time on social media.
Yeah.
Riley, you lost your Instagram account recently too, right?
Yeah, I was also like calling out people, so that could have had something to do with it.
Yeah, but you were calling out people for being extremely misogynistic. Like there were some like.
I thought I just want to like, all I'm trying to tell people is like spread more love. Like I'm just trying to say that message, but like call people out. And then I think it was probably someone in that group that probably reported me, but luckily they gave it back. So I'm like, I'm pretty thankful. So I'm okay right now.
Congrats. But but it fucks with you. But when it gets taken away, and then they give it back to you, and then they take it. It's like such a mind fuck, man. And then
go ahead.
And then how do you gauge your success if it's not in the numbers? And then you start seeing some of your shit tank, and you're just like, fuck. It really messes with you.
Yeah, I was totally going to agree with that. It's just like we use it as a business tool too, like for smoke and all, and for our personal brands. So when it's removed for no reason, or for being extremely professional on the platform,
or for people just being angry,
or for people just hating on you, like just
reporting,
to be,
which is how we're pretty sure we lost our TikTok account. The first time we lost it was just because of violations, whatever. They gave it back. But the next time was a miscommunication with some people that didn't like a video that she did.
Yeah, they thought I stole something. And I was like, first of all, it's TikTok. I'm not stealing your content. I'm putting a spin on a trend, and we just so happen to have
the
similar
same spin, like a similar spin. We had the same idea.
Stoner niche, and we took a trend.
That's what TikTok's built on.
Right. So it was this whole, and then I thought they were, because our sound has been used so much that, meme accounts, like somebody else has used our sound and a meme account picked up their video. I have had friends send me that video and go, "Isn't this your voice?" And me be like, yeah.
Is it the song? Is it the song one?
I want to smoke weed.
Smoke weed.
That one's been used a lot.
It goes through my mind very often. It's so good. Also, just like such a good, it was like perfect.
Right. And so like as a creator, I'm proud that there are people who are using my sound and getting millions of views. And there's a meme, a meme account, like, that's my, okay. I have people who can tell that's my sound. Right. It's thankless when you make sounds, but like, people who are like, I don't know, there's like a whole tussle in the cannabis community because of jealousy and like.
But I feel like that's mostly in TikTok. Like the whole reporting of each other
Instagram
and all
too.
that.
People come and hate on your Instagram if you have a post that happens, because it's hard on Instagram for a post to go viral or whatever, to catch more eyes than normal, right?
Yeah, than your followers.
If someone steps in there and starts throwing shade and you fight back, because like, that's the thing, right? Like, sometimes you want to fight back because like, what the fuck? Like, I'm defending myself.
Look what happened.
Right. It was a whole miscommunication. Someone came to me telling me that I stole something, but I thought they said someone stole something from me. So then I commented, oh, hey, whatever, man. It's how it goes here.
It happens.
It happens.
Which actually could be a perfectly fine response in the other case,
right?
Too. Like,
but since
they didn't like that, though.
But since they were accusing me of stealing, then that whole phrase was just not. They were not happy with that phrase.
This exists in like, I feel like this whole thing exists in every space where it's like people it's this whole thing about feeling like you get the right amount of credit for like the things that you do or something. And I think we should move forward as like a whole community and just be like, all visibility for this is good. And
it sucks though. Exactly. But it sucks though, because they have a point to some extent. Like it sucks because everybody's kind of right? Like, It sucks because I saw another TikTok where this lady was like really pissed because she was like, oh, stand-up comedians who have sounds on TikTok and other people are trying to benefit from their sounds, like if they were the ones who wrote the joke. I get that. But, it's TikTok. Like, that's kind of the name of the fucking game, really. Like, well, you can't get upset that someone's like reenacting a stand-up routine. Like, what?
Dude, you know what's crazy? It's like almost every single video you see on TikTok, somebody's mad at it. Like, somebody is mad at that video, or at least the very popular ones. Like I don't think I've ever had a video go up where someone wasn't like, you pronounced herbal wrong. And I'm like, okay, like, I'm sorry.
I don't understand how anybody could be mad about any of your videos, either of your videos. They're so good and so informative,
silly,
and like properly like phrased for everyone to understand. That's what's so great.
It's because I record them 40 times.
What about, just really quick, a real life talk here is that there are two different ways of pronouncing cannabinoid or
cannabinoid.
All right. Okay, it's cannabinoid
or cannabinoid.
Or cannabinoid. Wait, say it. Can you say it, Riley? What's the second?
Cannabinoid or cannabinoid.
Cannabinoid or cannabinoid. Cannabinoid. And since it's so since it's cannabis, people think that it should be cannabinoid, and like that's like a very strong opinion, which I think actually came from Clubhouse. Maybe, I'm not sure if that's the
Clubhouse is just the ones that get mad over it. I don't know if it came from Clubhouse, but the people on Clubhouse are like
so pretentious,
like aggressive about it.
Okay, I said I think Clubhouse is the equivalent of putting a like stage up in downtown Boston with like a free megaphone, and it's just like, everyone come say your opinion. Like, that's what I feel like Clubhouse.
Oh my god, I feel like it's just like a circle jerk constantly in these rooms. And it's
the same thing. What Riley brought up the other day is that it's like often like the same
thing. The same people. Like, and then after you've been on for a month, you're like, so I've heard all of your opinions on this subject. Is there anything else we could discuss? No? Okay, we're going to just start back over? Okay, cool.
Replay. Groundhog Day.
So officially, I've always said cannabinoid. But that's because I come from studying the endocannabinoid system, and that's the way that that's pronounced. Like
People think it's endocannabinoid system too. I swear.
And perhaps I'm so also to be fair, like I was educated by very specific people and they happen to say endocannabinoid. It could be that other people say endocannabinoid. But like for me, it's just easier to say cannabinoid. I've mostly heard people say cannabinoid. Like that's just, I think it's like tomato, or potato,
I just
potato.
try to avoid saying the word because I always feel like
No.
I'm saying it wrong.
You remember we had every time you guys say it, I cannot stop thinking back in I don't know, I want to say maybe season 3 or something. We had a segment
Cannabinoid.
do 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 do
Cannabinoid.
do 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 do.
Cannabinoid.
That's amazing.
And then we would talk about the different cannabinoids.
And when
Oh
we
my
were
God,
trying to
that's
sing
perfect.
it, we're like, how is it? We're like, which way is it? Do
Well,
you say
we
it?
didn't Chisholm didn't the Dr. Chisholm Alex from TikTok tell us when we had her on the show a long time ago.
Yeah.
And she would say it like that, and then we were like, okay, so that's how you say it.
Yeah.
Like that's how we will say it from now on. Okay.
Yeah. Take notes. Yeah. I mean, I think
Alex say
Scientist.
cannabinoid? Wait, how does Alex say it? Now I'm like tripping myself
Cannabinoids,
out.
right?
Now
I don't remember which
I
way
don't
she
remember
said it, but
how
I do
Alex says
remember when she said it, she's like, oh, we're like, oh, that's how
Yeah. We're like,
I don't remember which way now.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to pay more attention.
Go back and listen. We gotta go back and listen to that
So,
episode.
but this is another reason why they're like even within. So then it's like the cannabis community is super divisive over certain things and certain topics, and then within that, the like scientific community is also really divisive and like judgmental, and it's like a whole. There's this whole like double stigma thing going on that I think is interesting when we're really just all like working towards the same thing kind of, but not really. Like some people in the industry want to see cannabis be like more pharmaceutical, and then some people want to see it more like natural products. Like, and I think either one of them has a place. Like
I
both
feel
things
like all of them have everything. They all have a place.
right. So we don't have to like demonize. Like we don't have to demonize
One side or
any.
the
But it's like
because like the
natural.
whole plants
It's like-
over pills, like they're like, oh, why are we gonna turn it into a pill?
But
like,
isn't it like also too like natural
But
paths against
everybody-
standard medicine too? Those two fight all the time about stuff back and forth.
Yes, yeah, like traditional medicine.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. I honestly, I know a lot of people think this, but I think it should be like a human right to have access to all plants and fungi that are naturally occurring. Like, how is that not?
100%.
That doesn't make sense to me.
I mean, I think that I think that we should just decriminalize everything
All
and
things.
treat substance use as like you can treat substance use disorders and treat like so everything. If you're on a drug and you commit a crime, everything that you would have been doing that's a crime already has a crime for it. Like if you're like if except for maybe driving under the influence, that's probably the only thing where it's not a crime if you're not on drugs.
if you're sober,
But,
it's
like
not a crime.
yeah, exactly. But like let's just say you're like on drugs, like sitting on a park bench, like looking at the grass or like watching the sidewalk. Like you're not doing anything wrong. There's nothing that you're doing except for like possessing drugs or being on drugs. I don't actually
And
think
ruining
that
your
that's
own life.
Yeah,
Like,
well,
if
yeah,
you're-
and right, potentially risking or putting negative detriment on your own life. I don't think that that's like a criminal problem.
100%.
I think that's like a community problem. That's like a mental health problem. That's a like support system and like I don't know, lifestyle, quality of life, education problem. Like,
yes, they should not go to jail for that. They just get help.
It's also we talk always about like the resources situation. Open up the resources, right? We want to get people who are in locked up for nonviolent cannabis crimes. We want them out because obviously that's going to further cannabis world. Like because those people, if you're making money off of it, they need to get out of there. We need to readjust evaluate that. But like also to like, I don't think defund the police, but I do feel like we do need to rearrange our resources because there's certain scenarios
Well,
that
it's not
cops
defunding. It's not like we're taking all their money. It's just
Right,
like some
but
of
like-
that money, let's put it into other resources, like you're saying.
Yeah, or like social services. Like, you know, sometimes we need people to bring down situations instead of cops with guns. That's like, you know, I don't know.
Yeah, it should
Yeah,
be social
I mean,
workers.
the world-
Deescalation.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No. We're all agreeing with what she was just saying at the same
We're
time.
all
It
like,
should be like
yes.
social workers. It should be like militarized help to go help in a mental health situation. and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
that's not.
Well, it's like it's definitely a skill. Like de-escalation is something that can be taught. It's a skill. It's also something that certain people are better at because it's something that could be really scary if you're not educated. Like if someone's on a drug and like freaking out or overdosing and like you don't have experience with de-escalation or with those drugs specifically, right? Then it's something that can just like continue to escalate. I think in terms of like the human right aspect of being able to access things and choose to put things in your body, I think everything should be viewed in terms of like relative benefit and relative harm. And that like, it's easy, I think, for other people to judge other people on what's right for everyone else when like, and this is like an example with cannabis where, you know, there's a lot of people that would judge like, anyone who uses cannabis regularly or uses it daily, and genuinely I believe it's for my health and it replaces a lot of medications that I would be on otherwise. And it's not perfect, but it's a choice because it's this relative thing. And I think it's so easy to forget that like certain people don't have access to that, because I've always lived in like a legal state, or not always, but like California went med in 1996, and then I moved to Massachusetts the year that it was passed, even though nothing was like open or
Yeah, you've been in pretty good states.
Yeah. I've been in Georgia
Valley
and
and
Florida.
So it's like easy for me to forget it, and I forget it often. And then what you were saying about people still being in prison and being in jail, and so like because weed now is so much stronger, like because we have so much more if we're actually just talking THC, like there are people that are still in jail right now for carrying around like the equivalent of like a pre-roll.
Yep.
Or like, you know, and it's like that to me I think is it's complicated because
That's fucked up. The people who are like watching the jail cell are probably going home and smoking a doobie every night, and it's like that's our system.
And how are you going to, like, the only way to really change that is by, you know, is to advocate for these things to happen. And it's just, I don't even know where to begin, because I only did there was only a short period where I was like trying to get involved, at least in decriminalization specifically, which is still going on here in Massachusetts and elsewhere. Also, there's a big movement currently going on for decriminalization.
They just introduced a bill here in Florida to decriminalize all illicit drugs.
Everything, yeah.
That's awesome.
In Florida.
So Cambridge.
I don't
know if it's going to make it very far, but
make it very far.
it was just introduced. It was just
Yeah.
like,
Not this time, but the conversation's starting, and that's a huge
and
step.
Miami's been having a lot of big psychedelic conferences and stuff like that, and events. Like psychedelics are being talked about a lot down here.
That's great. I mean, the more we talk, the more people ask questions, the more education people get, whether they know they're getting the education or not. And then over time, more and more people are going to try it. They're going to go, hey, that was actually really okay. Like, it wasn't scary. It was helpful, whatever. Going to keep spreading word, etc. We're going to get there. It just, you know, this is the beginning for sure. But I mean, I'm talking to more older people that are using psilocybin or using cannabis, like more people than ever. I think that is so promising, just to see kind of the word get out that there are benefits, and it's not scary as long as you take your time, know your dose, you're around comfortable people, you know, what your first times, it's good.
100%.
It's safe. I feel like so cannabis is like the least toxic to my knowledge, and I'm assuming it's like the least toxic psychoactive molecule or drug or plant that we found. There's no acute overdose for cannabis, right? Like you can't actually die from acutely taking too much THC or CBD. But the next safest thing out there are the psychedelics.
We were talking.
In contrast.
How the hell is salvia legal? Is it still legal? Because
you know why? I feel like it's legal because no one has a good time.
nobody comes back. The
nobody's
market
really
just like
interested.
plummeted.
What is that?
It's another like dry herb that it's like a hallucinogenic when you smoke it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like
It's actually
I didn't try
it's
it.
actually sage. You know, like
Yeah,
cooking
it's like-
sage.
Oh,
like,
is that what it is?
Well, no. It's not the same. It's the same family.
Yeah.
Of plant.
Yeah, it's like
and then
it's like a herb. It looks like a dry herb.
They concentrate it. And
Yeah,
then,
you sell them at like smoke shops, right? Like that's where I bought them a long time ago.
I haven't seen.
But
it
don't they
recently.
have that other stuff? What is that kratom stuff? Kratom, or have you seen
Oh,
that?
that's an opioid.
I have some of that actually. I've
tried
had
it.
the tea a few times.
Oh, you tried it as a tea?
Yeah.
The kava? How about there's also the
Oh,
kava.
I've tried kava also. That one's different too. Those are lactones. So like it's all of these natural products, I think it's really, really interesting because they mimic these other molecules. They're not exactly the same, but like they do mimic the other molecules that we know, and so they can have like somewhat similar effects. Like I don't know if it's kratom or kratom, but it's an opioid. It's like similar-ish to opioids, but it's different. It has other properties, and you have to take like it's. I think it's more in terms of like, I guess like it's more medicinal in terms of like the level of effect. It's not like as strong of a extreme like painkiller. I think it's more on the lines of like can help your pain like better than Advil, maybe depending on your pain.
I think that's like again. I'm going to say kratom because I've heard kratom, whatever. I've heard kratom is extremely good for people who have irritable bowel syndrome.
Really?
Interesting.
Yeah.
IBS.
And I don't really know the mechanism there. I mean, it could be opioid receptor related, but I always thought that was kind of interesting. I've had multiple people tell me that after they've taken it, that their symptoms were relieved.
Well,
It
I
also
know.
could just be the plant.
Yeah.
People use it to get off of harder drugs too. I've heard, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like again like this reduction of harm or this idea that that to be completely sober you have to be like 100% sober. I think is like just not correct because everyone has a journey.
Just out here raw dogging life. Come on, guys. You can't be out here raw dogging life and acting like everything is cool, right? I mean, does that exist?
Well, I feel like those people they're getting their high elsewhere, you know. Like I mean, not saying that there's potentially one human out there or something that's like perfectly fine without some other sort of like vice or something, but like people just have their other things that they do or whatever, like that are more socially acceptable, like drinking.
Yeah.
It is one that's
Or
like really...
they have their own other ways to get their, serotonin fix. They're like, collectors, and they obsess about something, or there's different.
Or
things people do.
Jesus, maybe for some people.
Gambling is
That's
like
a bad one.
Working out is one. People like who are like intensively into work.
Yeah, it releases a lot of
working
endorphins. It feels good.
Yeah, but
Like-
that also kind of goes hand in hand with like eating disorders. So, like the
It
whole
can.
obsessive compulsive with the working out and stuff. Yeah, that could be. Yeah.
Oh, 100%. I think it's like I've definitely struggled with that in terms of like I used to be an athlete, and so much of my life was like constructed around working out that then when I stopped being an athlete, that was like a huge struggle. Also, this is a total tangent and not related, but the idea there's a huge population of stoner athletes. It's like very, very
Yes,
common.
it's common.
I feel like it's incredibly common as like a recovery.
Yes.
But also I think because it's like it's just that chill factor where it's like
And not only
working out-
only de-stresses you, but it also helps you recover, like you said,
Your
from
muscle.
pain. Also, because of the pain, it helps with pain. Like football players, they get beat the fuck up in a
Yeah,
game,
football
and
players.
to go home and smoke a blunt or smoke something to help relieve that, It helps them.
Yeah,
Oh,
there's
I
early
bet.
evidence that it helps like
Concussions?
that it helps recovery from TBIs and concussions, and that made me feel really good because I've had a bunch of TBIs when I was younger, and I was like, oh, good. It's good though because at least I was like, smoking up, like had that at least a piece of that.
Where did
like-
the whole myth that like smoking weed kills brain cells? Like, that's not what happens. Like, why do they say it kills brain cells? Why?
I think it's from a study that shows that it slows them down. I think it comes from, and I'm not positive about this. I don't know what you think about this, Riley, but I think it's because the endocannabinoid system in general decreases. It's inhibitory. Like in general, the system inhibits other brain cells from firing, not killing them, but it like decreases the amount of activity in your brain. In some parts of your brain, it decreases like spontaneous activity,
Which is why it's great for seizures.
and for anxiety.
And you talked about that, like when you talked about the pain episode that you did on the podcast, like how it slows and it goes opposite, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, spot on. That's dope.
Oh my gosh, that's perfect. Yeah, it goes in the opposite direction. So I think that it was misconstrued from the research because I think it was intentionally misconstrued.
I was
Because-
going to say, I think it's propaganda.
Yes.
How that started, because propaganda really fucked everything up. The way that the media like controlled what people thought about.
It's like, this is your brain. This is your brain on
Cannabis.
drugs.
Well, and everyone's seen the melted into the couch picture, right? I
Yeah.
mean, just that kind of stuff. It's like, and
I mean,
as
I've been there. We've been
Well, I was
there.
gonna say, I
felt that way before,
of course. But I mean, we're always happy. We're always getting things done. But like, I
But
think
they're
it's
scared
just-
of that. They're scared of
just
people
because that's
chilling on
one
the couch.
experience
Like,
doesn't mean
come
that
on.
that's every experience of cannabis. Just because that happens sometimes when you have cannabis where you feel like you're just kind of like in the couch, you know how they say, doesn't mean that every experience with cannabis is like that.
Yeah,
No, and also those end up being good experiences. Me and one of my like best friends were talking about it the other day. We were like, remember that time we went to the party and both of us just sat on the couch for hours and didn't speak to anyone for hours, and then left and had a great time and felt great the next day. Like,
Yeah. People watch and you're just like,
I was totally guy on the couch, early 20s when I would get too high. Like we'd be like all night smoking. I would eventually be the one passed out on the couch and they'd be like, all right, guy on the couch, let's go. Like waking me up when it was time to go.
no, so they wanted it to say that it like killed off brain cells or made you dumber. I think that it's like, I think it's because there's some evidence against like memory and it's making you slower in general. It's not always a bad thing. Whenever we talk about decreasing brain activity, like that sounds really negative to be like, it decreases brain activity. That sounds super negative.
some people need their brain activity to decrease.
Exactly.
Me.
Like I was just gonna be like this one, like 100%. And like I also get the question often, and we like on TikTok we often get the question of like, when is too young to start smoking, or when
Which I feel is young people trying to make excuses for them, like trying to feel, you know what I mean? Trying to get a validation.
Hello,
for their-
if 17-year-old me found us on the internet and I smoked weed when I was 17.
Yeah, people would be
18.
like, "Oh, you
I would
guys,
be like,
I wish you were my
whoa.
moms."
Wait,
Exactly.
what
But they
age
think
do
we
you
would let
guys,
them
like-
smoke weed and be like, no. And then a lot of kids, I'd be
I
like,
was young.
we would still not let you smoke
she
weed.
didn't start until college.
Yeah, I was like 18. I mean,
But like,
yeah.
thought you
what
said,
age
like,
would
20.
you tell someone like this is a good age to start smoking weed?
Now as a mom, I kind of want my kid to wait until like early 20s.
That's not gonna
I
happen.
know it's not, but
They might be sick of our shit and be like, oh, weed is
The
so
hope
stupid
I
and
have
dumb.
is
My
the
mom
fact that
smokes
he-
it.
that's fair.
the hope I have is that he's been growing up around it, and it's something that his mom and dad has been doing, and it's not like this thing that he needs to try that is like so
Sneak
taboo
around,
and
yeah.
like he's like, oh, my parents do that all the time, like it's no big deal, you know. So he may wait, who knows.
I'd be like, you better
Yeah.
not be smoking no shitty weed.
You get your weed from me, okay?
I'd be like, I'd find the weed and be like, hey, you're grounded, and I'm smoking it. So
Oh, like you should just be like, that'll be it for until you're 18 or.
I learned it from you. I learned it from watching you. Remember that one?
like,
Do you remember that one? Do you remember that commercial?
The dad.
Yeah.
The dad has a joint and the kid finds the joint. And
I learned it from watching you.
Yeah, and then he yells at him that shit. I learned it from watching you.
So how do you guys like the podcasting life now that you have your own Smoke and Science? I gotta say, I love the format, like that you have a topic and it's conversational where you guys are talking about the topic, but then you have the chime-ins where you like elaborate on certain things. I was like, that is so cool. Like, how do you go about like putting an episode together? Do you guys like pick a topic, record together, and then listen to it later to do in those you write those scripted
Well, first of all, shout out to Miyabi because Miyabi does literally all the editing and they're amazing at it.
So good.
And the
you do that
music, the
yourself?
intro music and stuff, that's all Miyabi.
The music is not me. The music is my wife. But
Lane.
But, yeah, the music is Lane. But yeah, I do the editing for
the production
like,
is so good. It sounds great. I love it.
Yeah, but we are so unorganized with like topics and stuff. We'll just be like,
we got it.
Man, what do you want to talk about this week? And then we'll just be like, oh, this is a good, or like, oh, we should have this person as a guest. Okay, so we should do this topic to fit that guest. Like, it's kind of just what is relevant at the time, what we feel like doing, but we're kind of doing like a little revamp where we're going to try to get really organized and actually have a method to the madness. So hopefully in the future, it'll be a little bit more, it'll make a little more sense what order we do things in.
And when we look into, we will be in touch when we look into doing something on pregnancy and moms.
Yes.
Hey man, I mean, I feel like it's podcasting is it's like an evolution because you have to start somewhere. So the beginning episodes may not be what
our
it
first
turns
episodes
into.
do not sound like what our episodes now are.
And you try things.
It's so weird.
You try different things. Weird. It's fun though because you have you could do different. I don't know. Yeah, you can test different segments out or whatever. Like whatever you.
Yeah, I was gonna say. What's really fun about it is not worrying about being censored.
Yes, you can say and go on as long as you want.
See, but this is the thing.
You can curse.
Yes. But first of all, I would love to get into the world of video podcasting. It's just like, what kind of editing would that go? And with the cameras, right? So it's like,
it's a whole other level.
Right. You want to do more every time, you want to get more, but where are you going to find your audience? You can't just make a podcast and think that people are going to just magically show up and listen. You have
their audience came from TikTok.
Right, but you have to constantly be recruiting more people.
That's why we made our TikTok, to literally promote our podcast. That's how we started.
It was like a supplement because, we would go on lives and then be like, hey, go follow our Instagram, like be more connected with us. And that way, they take TikTok away, which they fucking did.
So sad.
Wait, can you join, just restart an account?
We could, yeah.
I mean,
but we can't use our same name. The name's gone.
Right.
You have to change the name.
You have to be like Pot Smoking Moms 2.
Right.
OG.
Yeah, some bullshit.
The sequel.
Yeah,
that is,
or it could just be
annoying.
PSM podcast.
And you know what? And rebuilding is really frustrating too because you don't catch those same waves and you lose interest. And I'm just like, I hate the pressure of it too because you want to do it, you want to keep your thing active, but it's like. Then you have to start
how
all
do
over
some
again.
people post 6 times a day?
They don't.
I'm like,
I don't understand.
I'm trying my damnedest to get one out every 3 days.
But those are usually little silly little posts. What you guys create is like top notch content with great information, formatted and explained in a perfect manner. That takes a lot of time to. I'm assuming.
Yeah,
it takes a lot of time for
add
you to
value.
put it together.
Yeah.
It's not just a little lip sync to a trend or whatever.
Yeah.
Sometimes they look fun.
They are fun.
I've tried. I've made my attempt at those ones, but they don't turn out that good. No, so in that realm, I like podcasting because I like that aspect of like putting like more detail into it, because I feel like 60 seconds is short. Also, 60 seconds is long for a TikTok. It really should be in the 40-second range, right? Like,
totally agree. And like, I always say, like, we are trying to give educational information, but we're not going to just drop like a crazy amount of science with no background. It's so much easier in a podcast when you can be like, all right, like, let me introduce the subject, why this is important, how this relates to cannabis, blah, blah, blah. And then you can finally get into the nitty gritty. TikTok, it's like, hey, let me tell you about this extremely niche thing in 30 seconds. And it's a lot more difficult than having the time to like properly explain it and go into the details. And then Miyabi has such a different perspective than I do. So I get to get their perspective, and listeners do too. And it's a lot more dynamic than just TikTok and like your face. And that's it.
I've only had the opportunity to hear the first 2 episodes because I don't get to listen to podcasts that often. It's only like when I drive, and I work from home, so I don't drive that much anymore. And like when I take a shower, the only time I have to myself that's not work or with my child. So, but don't do that. Don't take away the chime thing. I love that little like chime in where you like elaborate on something you just discussed, and then you chime back out, and it comes right back to the conversation. I really like that.
That started on accident because we kept forgetting to say things, and then we were like,
we need
a way to like beep in.
It's like it's like you have a natural conversation, but then you have like little scripted parts where you just kind of like come in and give like further information on that, whatever that subject.
Production value.
It's good. I like it.
Yeah,
It's just
hell
it
yeah.
makes little
and
chime
it
in,
makes
chime
it
out.
so we can like mess up.
I know.
by the way.
Editing. Listen, podcasting is great too because of editing.
We do mess up.
We do mess up. Yeah, like doing this something and being like, oh wait, what? Riley goes blah.
Oh yeah, my reflex is just to go blah.
So we have like a million takes where we'll be talking and then blah.
It's like it's a reset. It's a palate cleanser.
I say the word absolutely all the time. Like Miyabi will say something and I'll be like, absolutely, but like 10 sentences in a row, and I'm like, oh damn it. Listening to it, I'm like, this is so annoying to listen to me talk.
So now I'm instructed to cut out
the absolutely.
Why don't you listen? You know what could help? Well, you know what could help? I used to do that when I started working at a call center. I started sounding like Ace Ventura. I would say, alrighty then. I don't know why. I started saying alrighty then, and I heard myself like the recorded, and I was just like, oh, it was cringy as fuck.
Super cringe.
So what they did, they wrote out a bunch of other substitute words, and I kept it in front of me. So anytime I had the urge to say alrighty then, I would like look at my list of words, and I would
I'm doing that. I'm going to do that.
I mean, it might probably work, you know?
That's a really good idea. I need to do that because I've realized that there are certain words that we try to avoid, or that each of us was saying that we avoid, and my word that I avoid saying is normal. I don't like calling anything normal because I don't think anything is normal. Like I don't think any human. I don't think any human is normal.
Yeah, like what is normal?
Normalize
Right.
cannabis.
Exactly. And then Riley says Riley wants to avoid the word obviously.
I hate the word obviously.
And
I like when people are like, obviously there's, this many planets. It's like, that is not obvious to a lot of people. Like, don't use that word.
I totally agree. And now I'm like hyper vigilant and hyper aware of when I say obviously, like so
You're like,
much. So, but it's been no.
Obviously.
No, but it's been interesting. I'm enjoying it so far. I think we're planning on doing a little thought of like going back and looking at the ones we've done so far, and then evolving into this was like test run, and then we're gonna try and do a serious set where we plan out a little more. And
it's very convenient because we already video chat multiple times a week. So now we're just recording it and uploading it. So it's effort to do it. It's a ton of effort for Miyabi to actually, edit it and make it something that's enjoyable to listen to. But as far as like planning out the content, that's not too much work because we tend to go on tangents too of things that we find the most relevant, which at first we were kind of trying to prevent. But then we were like, this is why people are listening to the podcast. We can embrace this to an extent as long as we stay relatively in the same domain that we were trying to. And that's been kind of cool to be able to take those tangents.
As long as we can steer back eventually to whatever topic we were originally on, which sometimes doesn't happen, and we're just like, how did we even get here?
Like the first time we recorded with you guys, and we took like 2.5 hours, and you're like, this is way too long.
But you've gotten better at like bringing it back to like, you go on the tangent,
Man,
but you
that
bring
shit
it right
is
back
practice, though. That is
to what you were talking about. But yeah, back to the
major call control there.
Yeah.
Major,
You did it quite a few times during this interview, actually, really well.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, they brought it back to what
You guys are starting to be very professional.
Oh, they are professionals.
It's you guys, it's a knock out of the park, And I mean, it's just going to be fun to hear it evolve and hear you guys evolve. It's all this. It's exciting because, you get to see other people too entering the industry and like you get to see them grow too. So
this is a really exciting time to be like into cannabis because it's like right in the cusp of becoming legal and it's just starting to really blow up and branch out. And I just love how genuine you guys are about like we're two scientists that not only got your degrees and your doctrines in cannabis, was it pharmacology, right?
We're both pharmaceutical
scientists. There we go. But also being so open about also being common everyday users, like you consume cannabis every day. So that's like it's just further destigmatizing and just showing that you can be academic that's very well educated and has huge goals and consume cannabis on a daily basis.
I think people really struggle with that intersectionality though. Like I think that's part of the reason why we get a lot of pushback. I mean, I've gotten hundreds of comments of this chick's never smoked weed in her life, or and I'm like,
or that we don't look like we smoke.
I know, and I'm like, just because I'm not literally smoking blunts on camera every day doesn't mean that I'm not using cannabis. And I just think it's so weird how like it can be so judgmental from that end because it's always coming from the other end where people are like, oh, she smokes weed, she's a stoner. And now it's like, she doesn't even smoke weed, she's not even a stoner. And it's like, how did this happen?
Both sides, both sides of it. I mean, you get the other side too, where like there are some people that think that I'm sure think less of us for it also.
For being openly daily consumption consumers, like just
it's a bias.
People will judge you
everywhere,
right? But for anything, so exactly because if it's not that, it's something else. So who cares? Like whatever, so either you get it or you don't. And if you like, you don't have to smoke it to support it.
Exactly,
no, that's true. Although if you do smoke it, like I automatically. In my mind, I'm like, we're probably more likely to get along,
right?
Just statistically, like more.
You'd be a whole lot cooler if you did. And that was our very heartwarming interview with Riley and Mary. We hope they come with us to our trip to Orlando.
That would make it even 100 times better. Even though it's going to be amazing, that would just be a cherry on top.
That would be great. If you want to connect with them, hit them up on their socials. They're on Instagram and TikTok. We found them on TikTok first, but they're also on Instagram at Smokinal, at Canna by Chem, and then at Miyabi PhD. So check them out. I'm sure you've already checked them out.
Smoking Science. I listened to it on my podcast app. I listened to podcasts on Google Podcasts, and I was able to find them easy. I just typed in Smoking Science, and they came right up. So I'm sure most platforms have it.
Yeah, for sure. Apple, Spotify. Anchor,
regs.
probably.
The regulars.
Yeah. Hit him up. Hey, thank you guys. Thank you, listeners, for listening to us. And thank you for our sponsors. Sorry. Thank you for our sponsors. No, I had to burp there for a second. I burp like Britney Spears. Whoa, fucking balls. Fucking balls, eh? She turns kind of Canadian there at one point. Fucking balls, eh? I'm like, fucking balls, eh? But I feel for her because I'm like, well, I don't want to make fun of her because that's what got us here in the first place. But like at the same time, fucking balls, eh? Patrons, thank you so much. We appreciate you for existing. You guys brighten up our worlds.
You keep us going.
You keep us going. You feed the beast. Yanni, Destiny, Lauren, Jesse, Christy, April, Shelby, Denise, Liza, Natalie, Meredith, Terry, and Angelina. We love you. Thank you. Hey, you can also become a patron. Don't be jealous that we're throwing all the love and shouts to them. Add your name to that list. Become a patron for early access to episodes, additional content, full uncut versions of our interviews, Zoom smoke sessions, vacations, holiday gifts. I don't know. Extra attention. Subscribe, rate and review and share our content. Potsmokingmoms.com. You guys are the best. We hope you have an awesome Christmas. As we're airing this, we have one more show before Christmas, right?
Yeah, we have one more show before Christmas.
Okay, we have one more show, but we're getting like, I could feel the Christmas in my bones, you guys.
Yeah, she's literally wearing a Christmas Santa hat.
I'm wearing a Santa hat.
You can't see it. You can't see it. She's wearing a Santa hat.
We're pumping the holiday tunes, you guys. Okay. So we'll be singing carols at the next one.
Should be exiting with "All I Want for Christmas," Mariah Carey, with how Christmassy you're feeling.
We'll do Bob's Bongos, but I'll sing "All I Want for Christmas" while we go out with our theme song. Is weed.
Bye.